Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. So sorry about that, having a bit of technical difficulties. I was trying to be fancy and just going live on my computer so I could share my desktop, but here we are. Round 2, Plan B. Good morning. This is Sarah Doxson, environmental educator for Bird Conservancy of the Rockies. And this week, Ranger Michelle has been so kind to ask us back to help out with these really fun Facebook Lives in the mornings. So last week we talked all about our feathered friends and some really cool birds we can find at Bar Lake State Park. And this week we're going to be talking all about the furry friends we can find out there. And today we're going to talk about this adorable little fellow, the black-tailed prairie dog. So here's a range map, and we can see that these black-tailed prairie dogs are found on the kind of the western Great Plains, but east of the Rocky Mountains. So we can see my cursor. Here we are in Colorado, and sure enough, the eastern half of the state is where we're going to find our black-tailed prairie dogs. And of course, as the name suggests, they're found mainly in a prairie habitat. And surprise, they're not actually dogs. They are part of the squirrel family, actually. So if you see this bushy-tailed little fella running around in your yard, or if you're up in the mountains and you see a marmot or a chipmunk, those are all cousins to our black-tailed prairie dog. And they got their names because as the European settlers and explorers were coming across and exploring the West, they saw all these creatures that would pop out of these holes and bark at them like their dogs. So they called them prairie dogs, but they're actually squirrels. So even though we can't really visit Bar Lake right now to see the prairie dogs, I challenge you to look out your window, see if you can find a squirrel. And what similarities do you notice? What differences do you notice between our common fox squirrel and black-tailed prairie dogs? So when you are able to see them, here's what they look like. If you've never seen one before, they're about a foot to a foot and a half tall. They only weigh like 2 to 3 pounds. They have these teeny tiny little ears. And I'm wondering what you notice about their eyes. So there's a saying we can use to figure out if an animal is a prey animal or a predator. And it's eyes on the side, run and hide. So that'd be a prey animal. Eyes in front, ready to hunt. So that would be a predator. So what do you think prairie dogs are? Prey or predator? They are most definitely a prey animal. Look at those eyes on the side so that they can have a really wide field of vision and watch out for anything that might be waiting to eat them. So it's interesting. They're actually the primary food source for the black-footed ferret, which is endangered. And that's part of the reason this ferret is endangered is because they've lost a good bit of their food source in this black-tailed prairie dog. Other things, raptors like hawks and eagles, coyotes and foxes will also eat prairie dogs, but prairie dogs themselves are actually herbivores. You can see this guy is loving this leaf right here. So they eat, the vast majority of their diet is definitely plants, but they will eat insects on occasion. And so because they are a prey animal, they have developed this really cool, amazingly complex, almost language, you might call it. And it's one of the most complex languages in the animal kingdom besides us, of course. So I wanted to show you, hopefully this works. This is called a yip jump. So this is adorable. And this call can have a couple of different reasons that they do it. One is It can be like an all clear. So if there was a sentinel prairie dog that was on the watch out and it gave an alarm call after whatever the threat is as passed, sometimes prairie dogs will do this yip jump. So they just kind of throw their bodies in the air and do a yip. And it's quite cute. Oops. I'll let it finish. There we go. Okay. And one other thing about their communication, so not only can prairie dogs, they have different calls if it's a coyote that's approaching the colony or a hawk that's flying over. They have different calls for that. They can even be so specific as to say there is a short human wearing a red shirt approaching quickly. So there's been studies done that they actually can have all of these different intonations and calls and be really specific with their communication, which is really, really cool. So speaking of where they do live in these colonies called Prairie Dog Towns. And what we see on the surface is that mound, right? They can be quite large, and there's, a 3 to 4 inch hole in the middle. And those are engineered in a specific way. So you can see it's, really slanted here. So that acts as a dike. So when it rains or there's water on the ground, that prevents water from flooding into the burrow. And then it also provides a nice little space for them to kind of hide out and look out for any predators that might be coming for them. But what's underneath is absolutely incredible. So there's this super complex tunnel system. You can see here there's a back door, an emergency exit. This is the entrance mound. And then there's all of these different chambers. So here's a food cache, a bedroom. There's a couple of different bedrooms, a nursery where they would have their little pups. And then, of course, since they're underground, they have to have multiple exits to provide airflow. So they are quite the amazing engineers as well. And so in one prairie dog town, there can be several different family units, and they live in these family units called coteries. And that consists usually of one male, 3 or 4 females, and then any of their offspring that's up to about a year or so old. And they all have different jobs too. And they switch off. So they might be, doing burrow maintenance, or they might be a lookout, or they might be caring for the young. So they have a really interesting social system as well. Okay, so you might have heard people talk about prairie dogs as just the biggest nuisance, as this pest, but they are actually incredibly important. They're what's known as a keystone species for the prairie ecosystem. And a keystone species means that this particular animal or even plant is so important to this ecosystem that without it, it alters quite a bit. So we mentioned earlier they're an important food source, especially there's that black-footed ferret that's endangered. I know you can go see them at Rocky Mountain Arsenal. They've been starting to be reintroduced there, which is super cool. Prairie dogs also benefit the soil and the vegetation. So if you think about it, all of those burrows that they're building, they are providing aeration and water flow. They're depositing organic material. So they're really making the soil and the vegetation really, really healthy so other animals that live in the prairie can thrive. And then another interesting thing is that their burrows and some of their behaviors provide habitat for rabbits, snakes, and of course birds. You might have been wondering why the bird lady was talking about prairie dogs. This is why. So there are 2 birds in particular that really, really benefit, even rely on prairie dogs. So the first one is this very, very handsome burrowing owl. So a lot of times we think of owls, they are active at night, they build nests in trees or in cavities. Well, burrowing owls, they go kind of against the grain there. They are active during the day, so they're what we call diurnal, and they actually nest in burrows, and they rely on prairie dog burrows for their nests. So they can dig their own, but it's much easier for them if they can just find an old prairie dog burrow to use. And this is important too because in the state of Colorado, burrowing owls are considered threatened. And again, a big part of that reason is due to habitat loss and a lot of loss of prairie dogs as well. And then another bird is this gorgeous mountain plover. So they are an insect-eating bird. And any other birds that eat insects too, sparrows or meadowlarks, the prairie dogs are clipping all of this vegetation. So they're eating it and they're clipping it so that they can better look out for predators. But then if there's the shorter vegetation, these birds are better able to find the insects that they are looking for, which is really interesting. And again, in the state of Colorado, the mountain plover is a species of special concern. So we're definitely keeping an eye and implementing conservation efforts to help both of these gorgeous birds and lots of other species that live in the prairie. So thank you all so much, and thank you for bearing with me with this kind of learning how to do Facebook Live and technology issues. I really appreciate it. And we really appreciate Ranger Michelle letting us help out with these Facebook Lives. They're so fun to do. So I invite you, Bird Conservancy, if you go to our Facebook page, we are doing daily nature challenges. So they are a great way to kind of stop looking at your social media and your news feed and go outside, go to your yard, to a neighborhood park, or even just look out your window. And there are some fun challenges that you can post on our page to help you connect with nature during this kind of strange time. And also be sure to tune in tomorrow again at 10 a.m. to Bar Lake's Facebook page to learn about another furry friend that we can see at Bar Lake. Thanks everyone. Have a wonderful week.